The NBA Finals starts tonight. LeBron James and Dirk Nowitzki, a lot of people are looking forward to that matchup. Now, you pointed out that LeBron James traveled during a critical point against the Bulls, and then you referenced some other times where he traveled in clutch situations like against Boston. Do you think LeBron James is getting the superstar call, or is it the NBA pushing for him to get his first ring finally?
With a separate set of rules than what the other players play by. I mean, it's amazing to see how many times he carries the ball or takes an extra hop or a step that enables him to get free to get a shot off.
With the NBA Finals, do you think now, especially with your video coming out, that referees will be more attentive or more likely to make the call against him, being that it's such a national stage now, it's the finals, and since your video is surfaced?
I think that they certainly are going to be, more aware of it, and if they sense that he travels, I would suspect that they would call it because they don't know when the next video is going to pop up, and, they, of course, don't want to be embarrassed by being that person that misses a traveling violation that enables him again to make a winning shot.
What do you see for the finals? Do you see the Heat and LeBron James finally getting his first ring, or do you think that the Mavs will be able to pull it off? And if so, can you predict how many games?
I wrote a blog that's on www.dannyb.info, and in that blog I, think that, or basically suggest that I think Dallas is going to win in 7. I really believe that, the officiating is going to have to be as fair as humanly possible for both teams because Mark Cuban's not going to stand, to be basically put at a disadvantage again like he was in the last finals that he was in 5 years ago. So I really believe that he's going to start to be someone who perks like a volcano, and eventually he's going to erupt and cause a lot of embarrassment for the league if he's not given fair treatment.
Is Mark Cuban one of those guys that David Stern is afraid of? He's an outspoken owner. He's always in the media. He's always criticizing something. The cameras are constantly on him. Is he somebody that David Stern is very worried about and maybe even penalized and fined throughout this series?
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious that David Stern's arrogance shines out when somebody questions him. It was seen this year with Stan Van Gundy in Orlando, where he basically made comments to the effect that, I'm sure we won't be hearing any more comments again from Stan Van Gundy because of the fine and because of repercussions that, could take place. And as we saw, Orlando was out in the first round of the playoffs. So I think that he has a way of getting his message across either through fines or either through officiating. But I just think that Mark Cuban is one of those guys that, nothing can stop him. When he feels that he's right, he's going to speak out and he's going to be heard. And I think that it's going to cause a lot of embarrassment for the league if, it's as obvious as it was the last time these two teams met in the finals.
Now, we've been speaking about the league and the commissioner a lot just now. What's your relation? Do you still have friends within the league? Do you still talk to people, or have you just completely cut everybody off? How's it been?
I do still talk to several people that are associated with the league and on the inside. And, it's a situation where, I'm sure that they don't tell too many people that they talk to me, especially not David Stern. But, I do talk to several people that are still involved in the league.
I have a couple more questions away from the finals. Derrick Rose recently spoke about a huge steroid problem in the NBA, then saying he doesn't recall making those comments. Do you know if there is a steroid problem in the NBA, and did Derrick Rose kind of straying away from his comments have anything to do with maybe David Stern breathing down his neck?
Oh, I'm sure that, I'm not aware of any steroid problems in the NBA, but I'm sure if he made that statement to a reporter and the reporter put it in writing that, the reporter didn't make it up, and I'm sure after it was written, he got a lot of heat from the league office and he tried to retract it as soon as possible, just along the lines of the Minnesota Timberwolves GM, trying to retract his statement about the, draft lottery because, that's the way that, a lot of the people feel in the league that, things are done for certain reasons and it doesn't look good. And, after he said that, I'm sure he got some heat from the league, and he tried to retract and backpedal his statements immediately also.
You mentioned the draft. Cleveland got some great either luck or whatever it may have been. Cleveland was able to get, I believe, the 1 and 4 pick. They're trying to trade and get the 1 and 2 pick to sort of rebuild and get their own super team. I don't want to ask you about the draft, but I do want to ask you about the super teams in the NBA, that kind of coming to the forefront. Do you think that is a good move for the league, for super teams to be built in Miami? Chris Paul may be coming to New York. I also want to get your opinion on that. Do you think super teams is a good thing for the league, and Chris Paul to the Knicks?
You know, Chris Paul obviously is a great player, so he would take that team to a whole new level with, Carmelo Anthony and Amari Stoudemire, so they would definitely be a force to be reckoned with. But when you talk about these superpowers in the league, it's going to really take away from these other teams, and you're going to see, places like Cleveland this year where there's 6,000 people, in the stands, or New Orleans where there's, probably not going to be 5,000 people in the stands when he leaves. So it's tough. It's really going to detract from these smaller market and lower level teams, and I think that eventually it's going to certainly hurt the league. But what it does now is it draws a lot of global attention to these big star-studded teams, and I guess from a marketing standpoint, that's good for the NBA.
All right, last question, and I'll get you out of here. What do you see for the league next year with an impending lockout, players and owners and the unions not coming to an agreement? Do you see it getting as far as the NFL, where right now there's not even a season and there's no guarantee that there will be, or do you see this somehow working out?
I think there's too much money at stake for both sides to be stubborn and not get this worked out. I think eventually, before the regular season starts, that they will get it worked out and will be resolved.